we present you the session, Setting the Start as Deep to Budding HR Trailblazers. Without further delay, I'd like to welcome the speaker for the evening, Mr. Abey Chittooran, who is currently the Human Resource Organizational Development Manager at VKC Group. Let me also welcome our Faculty Coordinator, Srijit Sir, for this webinar. Now, on to Jerry Sir for this session.
Good evening, everyone. Sorry for what happened last evening. There was some technical glitch which prevented me from continuing what we started off. So hopefully we don't have any more technical issues coming up today, and we should be able to go ahead with the presentation. Thank you so much for being considerate through messages and calls with regard to my son's health and all. Thank you so much, people who have coordinated. So I think without further ado, we can go ahead with the presentation, right? Shall we proceed?
Yes, sir.
Okay, let me know if you are able to see my screen now. Are you all able to see my screen? Reshma, can you just give me an acknowledgement?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
You are right. So last day, we kind of discussed about the roles which we are trying to play, and I'm just going through the slides which I had showed you once again, just to refresh your memories. So we said about myself and the kind of roles I play in different organizations, and there was also a disclaimer, as I said, this is just going to be my flash thoughts. So if you want to call me, I mean, if you think this is all gibberish which is being spoken about, you can call me stupid, nobody else. We also said presently HR more or less is being seen as an ambulance driver, wherein you have HR being summoned in when something goes wrong, and do a lot of firefighting and disaster management, also in strategic affairs as well. But most of the times it is the role of coming when things go wrong. So from there, we decided we're going to kill that ambulance driver and create a new paradigm so that we'll all be able to look forward to a better HR paradigm in the days to come. So we decided and discussed about a lot of things which happened during COVID times and how HR is being on a new pedestal right now. So the quest for today's discussion will be my humble endeavor to give a couple of thought points into you for the future roles you're going to play when you join an organization. Quick check once again, Reshma, so that I'm sure that you're all able to hear me. Is everything clear? The voice, the clarity of the presentation, everything?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay, good to go. Fine. So we'll quickly, since we have positive time as well, we'll go through pretty straight. So we asked a question in an organization which department is seen as a Jenny from LM, and there were a couple of observations. Some people said it is HR. There were different points of views, wherein I think it was a guy named Abhishek or somebody who said marketing. So probably we can have a discussion on all that coming forward during the Q&A session if time permits. So mostly, I would say in organizations, it is the HR department which is seen as the Jenny from the lamb, because it is mostly said when things, multifarious agendas are in place, HR is always the first person to be called in because HR wears different hats. So likewise, I want to give this analogy to you, just like from the previous, from the Arabian Nights stories, when Aladdin rubs the lamp, the genie comes out and says, "Hey, master, your wish is my command." Likewise, more or less, HR's job is also like that, because you never know when you are being called, and you never know when what you have to deliver. You never know what are the new things you will have to deliver. A lot of things, HR wears multiple hats within an organizational setting. So my agenda today is to give you, as you are on the cusp of the change, creating new propositions for yourself during the course of your studies in MBA, and when some of your yearning graduate in a couple of months time, others are just getting into the shoes of an HR professional. So my idea is to sow some seeds so that your thought process can be invoked. So for the first of the roles which I want to produce, late on you guys, is that of a hybridizer. So when I say a hybridizer, what does it mean? Hybridizer doesn't necessarily means what? Hybrid, you might have heard about hybrid cars and all, right? So hybrid is nothing but an amalgam of different things. It is not just this, not just that. It is a co-creation of a lot of things. So this is something which you have to play when you are in an organizational setting as an HR pro. You will have to bring the best to both worlds. You will have to act as a gelling point for two different points of views, different paradigms, different ecosystems. A lot of things you will look up to you as that gelling point. So a couple of examples I can give you is that of an employee and employer. See, for example, when you are in an organizational setting, employees would say, okay, the HR is basically the extended arm of the management. So if management wants to run some agenda, HR is being used. So that is how employees might view you. On the other hand, when employers would say, okay, HR is always thinking about the human element of doing business, or the empathetic value systems they want to create in the organization. They don't know much about organization. They don't know much about business. So likewise, so when you say you have two different sets of stakeholders, and then you are going to act as a unison point between the two different contrasting set of stakeholders. So this is one hybrid you can think about when you are in an organizational setting. Second is that of being among and alone. As I said in the previous slide, employers would see you as an employer would see you as an employee champion. Employees would see you as an extended arm. So you are neither here nor there. But that is the beauty of itself, because at times you can also be alone, thinking, have a arena where you can think loud. So just like how the picture says, rather than being convoluted with a lot of other threads, you can be loud enough to think in an HR shoes and create the best of strategies or best of the agenda for all the stakeholders. These days, as you know, a lot of things are going in a manner wherein we would want to see if there is a best option which can be created out of low cost. Right? You might want to engage your employees, you want to motivate your employees, but most of the times you don't have the budget to do it. But then you want to have the highest of motivations with a lower cost. So creation of high impact at a lower cost. Same would be the case with talent acquisition. No hiring manager would come to you and say, hey HR, I know things are not going good. We are financially struck. So let us have B-level candidates. Let's not look for A-level candidates. Let's look for B-level candidates. Nobody is going to come and tell you that. Everybody would want the highest performing guy, people who are graduating from good colleges, highest of marks, well experienced, who have proven track records of previous success stories. But again, they want this to happen at a low cost. So look at the irony, or look at the kind of contradicting factors where HR is operating. Another thing is talent management and experience, right? So when you want to manage talent, the organizational ecosystem would say, okay, it is HR's job to drive performance. So you have to make sure that as an HR professional, performance is top notch. But then when you bring in a lot of systems and processes in place, might be the organizational employees might say, okay, this is too much of curve fitting. We are being stifled. We don't have room to wiggle a cat. Too much of frustrating elements in place. So naturally what happens, the employee experience comes down. So on one hand, you have employee experience, and on the other hand, you want to create an ecosystem with structured processes, policies, procedures, but then how do you create an ecosystem for managing talent with the right set of experience? Another thing is learning and performance. Nobody would have any qualms in accepting the fact that learning definitely enables performance, right? But most of the times what happens is when you push an agenda for learning in your organization, maybe your business leaders would come and say, hey, I've got 3 client meetings happening with for my team, and I'm on the last days of the month wherein we are running shy of some target numbers. So if I dedicate some of my people for this learning intervention, which is happening at 3 in the evening, maybe I lose some good manners. So which means my productivity will come down. So how do you enable? How do you talk to your business leaders and say, okay, to create an symbiotic environment for learning without dipping performance? So these are some of the hybrid roles you have to play. And when I said hybrid, you're talking about different aspects, both of which you may look contradictory, but at the same time, when acting in unison, you will have a synergy. Like 1 + 1 is more than 1, is what synergy says, right? So this is one of the roles you can expect to play in an organization. That's why maybe a lot of times you hear experienced HR folks say, okay, it is pretty difficult, and it's difficult to convince people, or a lot of things are in my head. So these kind of hybridization role makes you tick. Second role is that of an orienter. So orientation means what? You are giving a new experience, right? You're making people comfortable with the new scenario you are in. For example, if you look at COVID-enabled ecosystem right now, what is happening is our offices are not the same, right? Some are working from home, some are working in the office. But again, people who are working in the office are being introduced to new dynamics of wearing masks in the office, or having personal hygiene factors and a lot of things. I'm just using a case in point, just because it is COVID time. So it is one of these scenarios which you can think as an orienter, right? Our meetings are not the same. So for example, a lot of our meetings have gone online, right? Not many industries would have thought about it, like especially people from, I've worked in industry as well as in IT maybe even 5 years back. I was used to taking inductions online because I was sitting in Cochin. I was delivering induction sessions for Bangalore and Hyderabad. But then a manufacturing sector might not have been used to such a situation even 5 years back. But now look at everything. Everything has gone online. Your meetings, your onboardings, your talent experience, everything is online. So now the problem is people are not oriented to this, right? Same is the case when it comes to a couple of other slides. We'll come to that. See, so in a meeting, what are the do's and don'ts of a meeting? How to make online meetings more productive? See, for example, when you have technical glitches like what we as stakeholders experienced a day back, when bandwidth went down, and a session which was planned to happen at the same time, which did not materialize. So how do you orient your people? How do you make sure your leaders are equipped to bring fruition to meetings? How do you make sure your larger audience base or the employee base is understandably stepping up to the plate to live up to the online meeting experiences? So these are some of the examples. Or for example, now, most of you who have worked and have, most of you are sitting here who has got some work experience would say, water cooler at an office setting is where a lot of grapevines happen, a lot of discussions happen, people ventilate their feelings, a lot of camaraderie starts building among employees. HR people, when they join the grapevine meetings, get the sense of what is happening on a shop floor. A lot of things used to happen over a water cooler grapevine, but then now it has changed, right? We don't even work from offices right now. So this has had an effect on the mental well-being or emotional connect of employees. So how do you, I was told that virtual coffee meets are becoming the new norm. So I'll give you an example, beautiful example of how this has gone places. I thought it is happening only within organizations, have people having virtual coffee meets just for team building and bonding and things like that. But a month back, I was in fact we were scouting for one particular sort of a vendor, for one of our key strategic HR projects, and we were in search of different vendors. And it so happened that I was in touch with one of them. They initially had a brush with me through some email communications, but they never bothered to fall back, or never bothered to follow up with me. So probably by the end of December, when the year was getting close, I get an email from one of these girls who used to interact with me. Maybe somebody of your age group, asking, Jack, is that possible to have a discussion on what we were having on this? So I was maybe I was not having a good day in the office. I was a bit pissed off with the kind of lackadaisical attitude they were trying to extend, because they were following up after a time period of 2 months. So I said, I wrote off an email and said, no, I mean, at least you followed it up right now. It's not the right of things to do and things like something, because I was not in good mood. Maybe a bad day. But a day later, I get an email from her manager, who also happens to be the vendor, who the proprietor of this business, saying that we have this as a value that we respond to people on time. I don't know how this skipped us, and we are extremely sorry. We look forward to working with you on a different project in the years to come. And she was being apologetic, and she was trying to pacify me or a potential client. And that's when this happened. She said, let's bury the hatchet, and let's catch up for virtual coffee, so that we can have a discussion about some of our new capabilities. So what I'm trying to say is, a lot of things are changing, but then do I know to go to a business meeting on a virtual coffee? Not, I don't know. Seriously, I have never been introduced to a business networking meeting on virtual coffee. I don't know what are the do's and don'ts. So these are kind of things which, I'm using an example. So if that's the case with an HR guy, think about the situation with other sales force and other people. So these are things which you'll have to orient people. Another thing is, our job interviews have gone, it's kind of turned topsy-turvy, right? It's kind of turned upon its head. Nobody, I would say a lot of people, a lot of hiring managers whom I've worked with would say they still believe that a firm handshake is an example of confidence. But they will say, the kind of confidence a candidate carries will be extended through a firm handshake. And that some of these are biases. I'm not saying that every guy who has a firm handshake is one of the best of talents, but still, hiring managers have those kind of biases and feelings. So now look at the situation. Most of the interviews are happening online. We don't even have an opportunity for a handshake, let alone a firm handshake, right? So now candidates don't know what are the do's and don'ts of an interview. Maybe people who have worked in people who are about to graduate might know. Your placement officers would say, this is what you have to do in an interview, this is how you need to dress up, this is how you do a handshake, this is how you talk. But maybe some of those dynamics won't work when it comes to talent on your this thing, right? What is that? On your virtual modes. So that there is a problem with candidates now. Candidates have to step up to the plate with the different dynamics. Same is happening with interview panels as well. Even interview panels don't know, should I be sitting in such kind of an environment, or are these questions permissible to be asked in online? So a lot of things wherein you have to interview, orient your people. A lot of our processes are also going online. Maybe last day I was discussing with one of my peer HR managers who works for a manufacturing industry, and he was mentioning his wife apparently works for a big 4 accounting firm, and one day she said, you'll have to take care of the kid for another 2-3 hours. We have a strategic meeting coming up. So this guy said, okay, fine, I'll cover it up for you. And then it apparently happened that it was one hour into the session, and suddenly the baby started crying to get attention from his mother. And when the husband, who's a friend of mine, went in her leg, there apparently happens to be an online Tombola game happening. So employee engagement now is online. So maybe as a fun and game activity on a Friday evening, which could have happened on a shop floor or on a business bay, is now happening online. So there is an online Tombola, Kahoot platforms, a lot of things happening. So, but these are things which our organization or which people are not used to, and this is going to stay in the times to come, because Corona has actually been that banner year which pivoted a lot of things, right? A lot of things have changed. You might also understand the way in which you learn have changed, the way in which you interact with your people have changed, a lot of things. So how you orient people on your processes is the second, orient people for the new dynamics is the second role you will have to play. So initially we said about hybridization, now we are talking about orientation. Third is that of an enabler. So in an enablement, what happens is, sometimes people are used to thinking in their own boxes. People who are thinking about doing things the way they have been. So it is said that if you continue doing what you have been doing in the past, you may not be able to drive the results which you intend to get in the future. So maybe in such scenarios, you'll have to think outside the box, push people beyond their limits, ask them, hey, this is a better way of doing it, or you'll have to come out of your shackles and do that. So maybe at times you will have to, as an HR professional, you will have to help your people to understand and balance your work, career, and your personal life. So work-life balance. So maybe people who has cousins or relatives who are working from home, who have parents working from home, might have seen the kind of troubles and challenges they face when there is a work from home modality, right? Most of the people would have said, okay, work from home is something. Maybe people initially would have thought, okay, being envious to others who enjoyed the benefits of work from home. So somebody who's working in manufacturing would have said, okay, these IT folks are so lucky because they get to work from home. But now that when they're used to too much of work from home, people are kind of telling, when is the next time the office is reopening? And then the different kinds of tech challenges, maybe especially with women folk who will have to manage household chores, take care of kids, aging parents. Again, maybe they are holding responsible positions in the organization. Lot of things. So is the case with men. Lot of things which has to be enabled, right? So as an HR professional, by the time you graduate, you will have to play this role as that of that which enables people to do that. Another role as an enabler is when you redirect people. See, for example, think about a situation wherein you have a marketer. Okay, so this you have a marketing guy who's maybe was doing a good job till time, but then when suddenly the organization ventured itself into social marketing or digital marketing efforts, is falling a little shy on that. So what can you do in such cases? Maybe you have to counsel the employee to say, this is not such set of competencies which we require for the role, but hey, what do you think? You have a different role there coming up in social marketing or digital marketing or a trade marketing effort. So I think, basically looking at your competencies and the kind of competencies the job demands, you'll be a suitable fit for that role. So rather than, taking off employees, maybe you can, as an HR professional, go add value to them by redirecting them to different other portfolios. But that might not work always. Sometimes you'll have to take the tough call where you'll have to decide to move away, give away people. So maybe you'll have to offload people. So when you do it also, can we do it very sensibly? Can we make exits more exciting? So I've even written an article on LinkedIn. Maybe probably people like Ria and Reshma might have seen that. I think they do follow articles which I come up with. So maybe you also can take a look at it. How can you maybe create an outplacement service model where can you help people whom you're offloading with some resume writing tips or giving a session on how to do your job search, how how to be projecting your brand on social media. Yes, you've decided to let them go. So can you do that sensibly? Can you enable them for a fresh start? Can you enable them for a fresh start, even though you have decided to part ways with that? So these are some of the roles which you can think of as an enabler. So those are the three first roles. Fourth, you can, okay, we are midway through. So is there any set of questions or something, or should we park it for the later Q&A session? Reshma?
Yes, sir.
Is everything going on well, or any feedback?
No, sir, we can continue.
Okay, I'm loud and clear, I guess.
Yes, sir, yes.
Sure. Okay. So fourth role is that of an inspirer. So so when you think about inspiration, it's how you drive motivation to people, right? So how do you give that motivation to the employees as well as the employers? So maybe like in the days to come, business is not going to be operating in the way it used to be. So your business is going to operate in I'm talking about the times when you graduate and when you start working for somebody. So there will be a lot of dynamics which would have changed, but maybe your employers are not used to the kind of environment. So as an HR professional, what you have to do is you will have to do a bit of reverse mentoring there and go and tell your boss, say, boss, there is a better way of doing it because this is what the dynamics demanded by your workforce. You know, you have a population of 60% of the population below 25 years of age. So maybe if you're doing a reward and recognition certificates on pieces of paper won't work. Maybe you'll have to do an online certification program or probably tag people on the official Facebook accounts. So something of that, anything and everything which adds value to business, but the organization has not thought about, it is your role as an HR professional to go and tell them about it. On the employees front, what you have to do is you have to make sure employees evolve to get involved. Right. So if there is an employee who says, okay, I've been in the organization for the last 20 years and I've been doing the same thing and I'm not ready to change, that might be the end of his career in the times to come, because organizations are now going to be in a situation where there is a constant evolution is the key, right? Something which works today might not work tomorrow. Something which works in Cochin might not work in Bombay. Something which is working for the sales team which might not work for your logistics team. So evolution is the key. So that has you as an HR professional has to enable people so that they have that evolution mindset and change becomes the way of life. Fifth role you can think about is that of an experience creator. So how do you create experiences? As I suggested in the beginning, right now, it is about being lean, nimble-footed in our approach, but being more impactful, right? So how do you enable such kind of experiences? Create immersive experiences, especially when you're talking about digital. I mean, when you're talking about being online, not you don't have the fancy or liberty of having a lot of office commutes and co-located teams. So how do you create immersive experience? So let me ask you a small scenario wherein rewards and recognition, right? So when people were doing something good, we were rewarding them, we were recognizing behavior in an organization setting. So what we do is you usually have a team huddle saying that, okay, this so and so guy has enabled us to do this much of business. So this is, here it is for him. A token of appreciation from the organization. Maybe an organizational leader would come and present him a memento. Now, when it goes digital, can you create the same experience? Will creation of a digital certificates and flashing it on your shared screen have the same impact of the normal reward and recognition efforts you're going to take? So think loud about how to create immersive experience. I'm just using one example because we have paucity of time. Also adaptive experiences. When you say adaptive, adapt to the unique needs of your audience. Like every individual is different, right? Like how the number of pencils stacked here has got different shades. Everybody is unique. So maybe if you work for a travel company, maybe, or if you work for any company, maybe your organization says, okay, we'll give you coupons every year so that you can take your family for a vacation free of cost. But is that a one size cuts all situation? Does that that benefit reward every employee? Is it that every employee is looking for that? There might be a couple of people who say, "You give it to me in cash, so that I can use it wisely for something else." So otherwise, somebody would come up and say, "Let's, anyways, you have to decide spend money. So rather than using it for my flight tickets, why can't I use it for my school tuition, or maybe buy books from Flipkart or something of that sort?" So how do you create different sort of experiences, right? So maybe and again, how do you have? So think about experiences you want to impart to all the stakeholders you are in touch with, and try to make sure that it uniquely meets the needs of unique gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen. Last but one role is that of normalizer. So as I said, we have all heard this term of becoming into the new normal, right? I don't know what the new normal is going to be. New normal used to happen initially, but suddenly there were situations wherein I saw something like never normal as the new it has is the new hashtag which has come in, it seems. And there was something else, somebody was finally talking to me, somebody said it is going to be abnormally normal. So abnormally normal is going to be the next hashtag. It seems, jokes apart, we are at the cusp of a change, right? So is the profession of HR as well. So how do you create all this engagement? We don't have the liberties of having the fancies of an office. We cannot collaborate. We are not working in teams anymore. So as an HR professional, how do you look at the engaged mindset of employees, and then rather you come and create engagement for them? So that's how you have to think loud in the times to come. And again, in the new normal, it's everything is going to be data driven, because you don't have fancies of sitting in an office looking at files being shared in the office, because everything has to be on the cloud, or increasingly on common platforms which can be accessed by different team members. So, and I say digital, let's say it's digital, right? It should be, you should be embracing digital so that you can take it all at one common point in time. So these are some of the normalizations you can think about. Also, in the new scenarios, or HR people would have either our workforce is going to be in the office and HR at home, or might be the HR is at office and the workforce is at home. There's a fat chance that a lot of times people are not co-located, but again, as I said in the beginning, people are battling a lot of mental health issues, emotional connect being lost. They don't have the bestie at work. They don't enjoy the water cooler chats. A lot of things, they might be facing different challenges at home, managing different roles. Also, there are organizations which has got salary cuts or salary deferments. They're facing pecuniary or financial difficulties. So there, you have to, this is one role HR has to play, right? In such scenarios, what happens is, most of the times HR starts to preach a lot, but as HR professionals, we all need to understand that God has created each individual with a pair of ears and one tongue, which means you speak, you listen twice and then speak once. So utilize your time to hear different versions, and then actually take decisions. So this is one normalized role which you will have to play. So we spoke about 5-6 different roles. We said about hybridization. We said how to orient and enable people. We talked about how to normalize people into the new normal scenarios, and we also said how to create experiences, right? The last role, but this is going to be the most important role, is that of a prime mover. So when you graduate, when you are thinking about being big in HR, becoming big in HR, this is one role which you have to think always. You have to be that umbrella guy, because the role of a prime mover itself, when you look at the definition, it says it's somebody who takes the end-to-end responsibility for anything and everything, right? So it's not HR is not somebody who can say that, okay, I did this and send it across as an email to them, and now it is their responsibility. No, HR has to act as a bridge between different stakeholders, right from the start till the end of anything and everything which happens in our organization. HR is going to be the bridge. So there is definitely a starting point for HR, but there is no end point for HR, because you'll not be able to hand off things and say, hey, we did our part, it was now finance who has to do that. A case in point I can tell you is, say, for example, when some employee exits from the organization. Now HR completes the exit formalities, conduct the exit interviews, processes the no-due certificates, and says, okay, we have all done the same, and we are sending it for finance for release of full and final settlement. So does HR job end there? What if 3 days later or a month later, the exited employee calls and says, hey, HR, I haven't received my full and final settlement? Can you, as an HR professional, say, we send an email to finance, but it was their responsibility to take care of it? No, right? No is the answer, because HR cannot absolve from any responsibility. So HR's role is that of a bridge which amalgamates a lot of stakeholders in the kitty. So this is what you have to remember when you are out of college and start doing your own HR agendas, that your role is not bound by anything. HR is, most of you might have heard about that WhatsApp chat or something which said HR is unofficial counselor, advocate, engineer, a lot of things. Teacher, my sounding board, the housekeeper, my money man, my banker. Because yes, you play this is that, and that's the beauty of this profession. At the same time, you can play different roles. So we're coming to the last part of the presentation. So we have already discussed 5, 6, 7 roles. We said how to create different amalgams as a hybridizer. We spoke about orienting people to things that they are not used to, how to enable them to think outside the boxes and create something new, be inspirational and motivational to them so that the best of things come out. Identify what are the best experiences, both immersive as well as adaptive, creating unique experiences for the audience. Help them as a change agent, take the pattern of change, create environments where then they'll be equipped to be on a normal mode. And last and most importantly, the prime mover. So now when you reorder all these things, not necessarily in the same order of what we discussed, and we take the first letters of all the roles, we can have something called as Phoenix. So my exhortation today here is to kill that ambulance driver as HR and create a Phoenix HR in you who rises from the ashes, right? So it is easier said than done, but as I said, these are some flash thoughts which came into my mind. So I thought to end this presentation with this, but then another thought came in: how do you strategize? How do you become a Phoenix HR? It's always easy to preach, but then how do you become a Phoenix HR? So this is something which I've thought about. I've named it as Phoenix metrics. So on the Phoenix metrics, what you do is you have an XY matrix. On the y-axis, you list all the roles, all the Phoenix roles, and on x-axis you have different processes. So talent acquisition, onboarding, performance management, grievances redressal, until about exit, all those processes right from your hire to retire. And then now you start thinking about, okay, in talent acquisition process, as a prime mover, what are the responsibilities I have to do? So listed down there. Or as a as someone looking into talent acquisition, what should be my role to inspire and motivate the set of stakeholders? So now, when you look at talent acquisition and try to populate all those 7 roles, and then after that move into the next set of HR agenda. And by the time you complete the entire processes on these 7 roles, you will have something called as your HR strategy. So when the new normal hits, I still want to use a simple present tense, because you never know whether what has hit is the new normal or not, because we hear that the next wave of COVID is coming. So it's a choice that you have to make. A choice is basically yours. So what is your identity? What is it that you have to leave as a footprint practicing the profession of HR? Now, since we have already used an analogy of the phoenix from the bird community, let's use something else. So do you want to be a brilliant, the choice you have to make is this: do you want to be a bat who's brilliant in administrative tasks? Because most of the times HR was being seen as, this is some portfolio which can do a lot of administrative tasks, like payroll, attendance, time officers. Do you want to be a bat, or do you want to be a parrot who is permanently assisting other resources with repetition-oriented tasks? So, like, every day you do the same job over and over again, attendance management or payroll processing, and recruiting, doing other admin jobs. So, do you want to be a parrot, or do you want to be a kite? Kite is another set of HR professionals who's known for invoking troubles everywhere. So these HR professionals, they kind of like fly around on top of people and then try to be the policeman, saying that you shouldn't be doing that. This is not the policy. A lot of kind of things. So every time you employees see the HR guy approaching, they'll be like, hey, that guy's coming, or now it's going to be trouble everywhere. So do you want to be a kite, or do you want to be, there are some organizations where there are sparrows HR, simply parlous admin resources for recruiting and other jobs. So do you want to be a parrot? So it's a question about, do you want to be a bat, a parrot, a kite, or a sparrow, or do you want to be a phoenix HR? So as I said, do you want to take ownership in being a prime mover? Do you want to be a hybridizer looking at 2 different ideologies? Do you want to orient your people to new things? Do you want to enable others to take different roles? And then do you want to be an experience creator? So now it is up to you to decide what role you will have to take. So as I said in the beginning and yesterday, it is up to you to decide, whether I've been able to add value to what has been given to me. So if you don't think that I've done justice to the role, you can still call me stupid. Thank you so much for all the opportunities. Thank you so much for patiently waiting for a couple of days and listening to me. And a big salute and big word of applause to the coordinators who did the groundworks in doing this. And then all the very best for all the HR professionals out here. We'll open it up for Q&As. I presume there are some questions which would have come in, which has been collated by Reshma and her team. So I know you're all very smart guys and girls, probably very younger to me. And so you're all being creative, and you'd be having a lot of doubts as well. But then, when you ask your doubt, don't let me go into this kind of a mode wherein I think and brood a lot over, oh my God, how to answer this now. Thank you so much, everyone. Once again, this is my attended Zoom. So these are my contacts. If you want, you can connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm kind of more active on LinkedIn than any other social platforms. WhatsApp as well, but not very much. So you can get my contact connects from Priya or Reshma. both Ria and Reshma, I had meant, as one of the bridges for an internship program with them. So that's why I keep repeating their names. But thank you so much, other coordinators as well, to make this through. So that's it from my side, and maybe we can have questions or something if you have any.
Hello, sir. I'm Abhishek.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, Abhishek. I
Okay,
mean,
continue.
is there someone coordinating the questions or?
No, sir. No, sir. We are asking questions on our own.
Okay.
Oh, sir. Thank you for the session, sir. Perfect session. In fact, it was, sir. My question is about how would you deal with the situation when one of your finest employees wants to leave the organization, when he comes to a point that he thinks he has a better opportunity out there and he wants to leave the organization. How would you deal with that?
No, it could be because of various reasons, right? How do you? There are a couple of case in points here, Abhishek. If somebody wants to leave the organization, okay, you said he's one of the finest employees, right?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay, which means the organization wants to retain him. Is that what you meant?
Yes, right, sir.
Okay. Oh, in that case, what happens is, see, first and foremost is how identify what makes this person resign from the organization. So is it so? That is where before when you act when somebody has resigned, that is a reactive approach, right? Somebody has already resigned, and then you are catapulting yourself to understand what makes this guy resign. But there are also other avenues like skip level meetings and stay interviews. Maybe you'll study about it going forward. So wherein you engage with your employee base right before all these things. When things are going in the normal direction itself, you have skip level meetings trying to understand what motivates this guy or what is it that he's facing as a challenge. So that is something which you can research upon. Specifically answering your question, when somebody has decided to resign and you want to retain him, the first thing you have to identify is what makes him resign. So is it the compensation? Is it the better career progression he's expecting in a different company, or is it because he has tussles with his manager, or is he finding it difficult with some other aspects within the team? And then when you narrow it down to what exactly is making him do this, then try to see if you have an opportunity to change those things. And maybe if he is looking for a better salary package, do you have leverage to offer such a salary package to this guy? Or if you're looking at career progression, can you promise a straight away career progression for him? So it's about how you, as I said, every individual is unique and they are looking for diverse experiences. So it is about how and whether you can create such kind of unique experiences to him, and then assure what you have, assure that you live up to the expectations once you have given a word.
Right, sir. Perfect, sir. Sir, one more addition to that. I have been seeing various posts about the Byju's. They have been hiring for the BDA role almost throughout the year, which means that most people are leaving.
Which company?
Byju's, sir. Byju's.
Byju's, yeah.
Yes, sir. They have been hiring for the BDA role almost throughout the year. So, and I actually talked with someone who attended the interview as well. So, why is it that they are hiring so much? Is it because the people are leaving the company? If that is the cause, what can be the reason for that? If people are leaving tremendously from that
People
role?
are leaving Byju's is what you're telling me?
Yes, sir. What can be the reason for that? Or where is the HR going wrong?
I have worked with EdTech. I have worked with Topper Technologies, which is a competitor for Byju's. So maybe it is not apt for me to comment on one of my previous competitors, right? Especially on a social forum like this. So maybe we can take this offline, and then when we have a coffee or something, probably we can discuss on that.
Right, sir.
Okay. Somebody else was asking a question.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I have Arpit and Meghna. Okay, Meghna, you want to go first? Yeah.
Yes, I'll go. Arpit, you're okay with that, right?
Yeah, please, yes.
Okay. So first of all, thank you so much for such a great session, sir. Sir, my question is that, sir, if I'm a final year student, and so myself and my classmates, we are in our final lap of MBA, and the placements are going on. Like some are applying, some are preparing for interviews, like that. So, sir, I have been told that many HR an HR manager usually gets around like thousands of CVs per day. So, sir, my question is, I've been told that an HR just scans through a CV, and when certain keywords catch their eyes, that is when they shortlist. So, sir, according to you, from your HR point view, viewpoint, what all things does catch your eyes, sir? Or what all things should a student mandatorily mention? Keywords that a student should mention so that his or her CV goes forward.
Now, I'll answer that in two perspectives. One,
Okay,
you specifically asked, what do I do? So that I'll come to the second part of the question, sort of my rendering. Initially, what I'm going to tell you is, see, keywords, yes, definitely keywords would catch the eyes, not of the recruiter these days. You know, you have systems like ATS, which is called as an application tracking system, which is basically a program. So it scans your emails. So whenever a job is being open, a role is being open, and it kind of this is all automation you're talking about. So this resumes come in, and this application tracking system scans each resumes. So these resumes, this is the set of keywords which we are looking at. So it is not it would be specific for each role. Now let's say for a fresher, since you're all freshers, let's use a freshers example. Maybe there are a couple of projects, couple of roles. One is that of a business analyst in an IT company, and then another one is that of a field sales executive, right? So the ATS is going to check which set of competencies required for the role is captured on the resume. See, for example, we would have said, we would have fed it into the ATS system, or even the recruiter, the human recruiter. He would say, okay, these are the set of things to look for. If this person is to be considered as a business analyst, so then is quickly skim through and see if these kind of things are there. Same as what an ATS usually does as well. So answering your specific question, you have to tailor your resume to the role which you are looking at. So for example, if you go through a job description and then it will specifically read between the lines, there would be cues for you to take, seeking, okay, this is the set of skills which are required. See, for example, somebody who's on the business analyst role will have to have strong relationship skills, stakeholder management, communication. So you see that good written oral communication skills is required for a business analyst role, and you think that you have got good communication skills. Now, then why don't you write it on your resume? But having said that, this resume might not hold good for you when you go for a different role. So that is why I'm saying, as I said, be adaptive. Whenever you apply for roles as well, it is a most common misconception that it is the one size fits for all resumes which hit the trick. So that is something. Personally asking me, whether I hire from resumes, I don't. Maybe very early stages of my career when I was working as a recruiter, I wanted to shortlist people. Maybe I would have used a resume, but being an HR manager, I don't look at a resume because most of my interviews are of conversations. I rarely look at resumes. Resumes is just a passport for me, for the candidate to get into my room and sit across the discussion table. But hiring decisions are made through these conversations and analyzing the job fit this particular candidate brings in. And Meghna, I have also written one more article. It was written almost 3, 4, 5 years back. I don't exactly remember what it says. But I think it said something like if your resume is not a Muslim, what is its connection with Ali? Because Ali is what I am proposing as one approach for your resume writing. Ali means A for aesthetic, L for legible, and I for informative. So that is something as a guardrail you can think about. You need to have your resumes which is aesthetically appealing, which is very legible, and which is informative. Informative is what I'm trying to carry when you got your keywords and all. Maybe I would suggest you add me on LinkedIn, and probably we can connect, and I may be able to I'm sorry, send you the links, or you can ask Resh or somebody
Oh,
who's
sure, sir.
already
Sure,
following
sir.
me on LinkedIn.
Sure, sir.
Thanks.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, mate. Yes, Arpit, you had something?
Yes, sir. Very good evening.
Good evening.
Yes, sir. Thank you for the session. Firstly, I just had a basic doubt, like a simple doubt regarding the reverse mentoring which you discussed. So I wanted to know, like, is that a kind of a strategy which is often used by an HR, or is it something which is used ad hoc?
See, reverse mentoring specifically. See, when you think about mentoring, what comes to your mind? Mentoring is somebody who's senior mentors as junior, or mentors as somebody who's used to a system tries to give knowledge transfers to somebody who's a rookie, right? But then at times you also have to have reverse mentoring. See, for example, in the presentation, I have used reverse mentoring to see how you kind of showcase, how you kind of transfer such kind of knowledge to your employer, right? Not necessarily your bosses. So maybe the organization was used to operating in one particular business model, and the way in which they were handling employees is going to be the same. So how do you actually give your specific case in points to the organizational leaders and say, okay, this is not going to work? One example I can give you is not many organizations were taking employee wellness very seriously. So maybe very few organizations, probably the bigger organizations, were giving medical insurance benefits or other employee wellness benefits for employees. But now come COVID, uh, every small organization as well has started to pay heed to the emotional, the medical benefits required for employees. Like say, some people are organizing emotionally well-being, sessions. Probably. A yoga session or mental wellness or mindfulness sessions. Some organizations are providing money, spending money from their pockets to get household furniture, to set up home offices for their employees. Or maybe some other organizations are conducting Zumba classes. My wife goes to an online Zumba class in the morning. Increasingly so, but how do you as an HR guy walk up to a traditional management and say, hey, this is the need of the hour? Because these are the points by which we need to embrace this concept. So that is what I meant by reverse mentoring.
Okay. Sure. Thank you. Thank you.
So any other questions? So if not, I will be moving to vote of thanks. Okay, so hello everyone. It was indeed a good session and an inspirational one for our budding HRs. Being an HR, we get to play many different roles depending on the situations we are in and have to adapt to the surroundings that we are forced to be in due to this new normal. Many think that the job of an HR manager is an easy one when compared to the other departments. But this session made us understand the responsibilities of the person who is in a position of an HR and how important is that position for an organization. So I take this opportunity to thank our chief speaker, Mr. Jerry sir, for his valuable time and his insight. I would also like to thank Mr. Jithin sir and all the NIPM core members for making this great session a huge success. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, Thuda, for that kind words. So I'm more of a networker, and you can add me on LinkedIn if you require. And I think I've shared my number as well on the screen, right? So, or you can check it out from Reshma and be in touch with me. Maybe you'll have to introduce yourself when you message me, because I don't have your numbers, or LinkedIn as well. I'm very well connected. Thank you so much for the opportunity. Thanks for listening out, and thanks for taking pains to come for a second time when technology played some tricks with me. Thank you so much. Over to you, Reshma Aunty.
Thank you, sir, for your valuable time, and thank you everyone for attending. So we'll wind up now. Thank you so much.
Perfect.
Sure.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you all. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye.